Hello, 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 hello. What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a blessed day. Welcome back to the 90Something Magnolia Podcast. This is episode 11 with my good friend, Josh Jenkins. Josh is a designer in New York City. Hails from Connecticut originally. And this weekend, he's actually having a pop-up shop. It's 5th anniversary of his clothing brand, Demuerte. So make sure you check it out if you're in the Hartford area. Details about that in the show notes. Let me know if you have questions, of course. Let's get into it. Here we go. Rewind it a little bit because I feel it's appropriate.
Chin chin.
Ciao. Chandon. All the fucking things.
I'm not familiar with the Chandon.
Chandon, I'm not especially familiar with it, Chandon, so excuse my ignorance to the people out there if I use that incorrectly, but from what I understand, it means 100 years.
From where does it hail?
I think it's Italian, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that.
Chandon. Yeah.
I feel like I've heard some motherfucking Italians saying it, and it sounded cool as shit. No, I think I'll do the Googles later. Fucking fact check.
Yeah. When I was there, I kept hearing the chin chin a lot.
What's that one? I haven't heard that one.
I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if it has any real significance. And then I asked my girlfriend, and I figured it out, and then I asked what. I was like,
you were just hearing it.
I was hearing it, and I was like, oh, is it just like a reference to the noise that glasses make? And she was like, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, like just chin chin.
Let's not overcomplicate this, people.
Yeah,
it's just a beautiful sound.
It's a beautiful sound. It's a great word to cheers with.
For sure. My guy, my bro, the homie. Tell us who you are. For the people out there, the 90-something listeners who may not be so familiar.
My name is Josh. I come from Connecticut. Was based in Hartford for a while, originally from Windsor. And I'm a designer and currently live in New York.
All right. I love it. Biggest difference between Hartford and New York. Hartford and Windsor.
Hartford and Windsor.
Hartford and Windsor.
I'm
freestyling with that one too because you just made me think about it.
Biggest difference between Hartford and Windsor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
what comes top?
Windsor definitely has more white people. That's for sure.
Hartford got some white folks too.
But yeah, no, Hartford.
Percentage wise.
Yeah.
Valid.
I mean, no, for sure. Hartford is it has diversity for sure. It has pockets. It has neighborhoods. I mean, you go to the South End on Franklin, you're gonna run into a lot of Mediterranean folks.
That's true. I never even really thought about that so actively, but that's very true.
Yeah.
Little restaurants and stuff over there.
Yeah, like the little pastry shops and whatnot.
Do you think it's fair to call Hartford diverse?
I mean, that's a good question.
I've never thought about this question until now, but I feel like it.
I think diversity, there's spectrums. It's
of
like,
course.
I would say as a whole, I would truthfully say, it's pretty diverse. Because, bro,
relatively at least.
Yeah, because, if you're not from Connecticut, I can imagine you would say no. But if you've actually
say that Hartford is not, it's just a bunch of black people.
Yeah.
And some Latina.
Exactly. But then in terms of, diversity, you have, somebody who's West Indian, and then you have somebody who, is just Black American.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the same room, that's shedding some light of diversity. These are just they're not two people from the same group. So
fact, it's very distinct, but also very fucking similar in a bizarre, interesting way.
Right. But bro. I would say Hartford's diverse for sure.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I think in Windsor, to me personally, and how I connect with other people from Connecticut, I feel like Windsor is one of the most diverse towns in Connecticut, for sure. I think my experience growing up there definitely shaped and molded the type of person I am when I walk in a variety of settings. Like, I feel like I had this conversation with a lot of homies before, where it's like, if you're from Windsor, you can be on either end of Albany Avenue, and
shout out to Albany Avenue.
And find your way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be over on Bishop's Corner and be straight and just know how to converse
and maneuver.
Yeah. Or you can be over, at Jomsky's. That's a deep cut too for anybody else who just isn't privy.
Shout out to Jomsky's.
Yeah.
Word.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah, dude, 1000%. That's kind of like the story of my whole fucking life. You just learn how to speak a couple of different languages.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
You design. As you mentioned in our little intro here. What do you design?
Tell
us about your work.
Yeah,
your design work specifically.
I guess I just design ideas. That's pretty much.
Oh, great answer.
That's pretty much how I can imagine it. They're all just ideas, just different ways of manipulating what I've seen, what I haven't seen.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely a menswear focus, and as I get into it for folks that are listening,
mm-hmm.
I would say my discipline is garments,
mm-hmm.
and I definitely have a menswear approach, but from the jump, I've always had this very fluent idea about what people can wear, and there not being any rules about that, and aspired to coordinate ideas that speak to a variety of people.
Definitely. Spectrum.
Yeah, for sure. And
talk to me about the jump. I'm curious about the jump. How did we get started on this fucking beautiful creative roller coaster journey that we're on here? Where did it start? Where you designing ideas? What were the first ideas when they were literally just ideas before they became things? Tell me about that.
I feel like when I think about what initiated this trajectory,
mm-hmm.
was designing my bedroom in high school.
Well, interior design.
Yeah. And it's interior design. That's what it was, I'm not going to cut myself short. It
literally is exactly what that is.
Yeah, interior design for sure. But just as simple as just having reference points of cool spaces that I've seen, whether if it's in cinema, like predominantly cinema, but it could be cartoons. Like, Hey Arnold had like the flyest room growing up. He had the model of like what your bedroom should look like.
That's a fact. Very, very underrated bedroom.
Yeah.
Very, very underrated fictional bedroom right there.
Underappreciated.
Yeah, underappreciated. Hey Arnold as a show gets the credits, gets the love, but that was a rare bedroom.
I mean, just on a style standpoint.
That was definitely shout out to everyone who knows the bedroom.
Yeah. But I mean, he had like the remote that like adjusted the lighting. The lighting was crazy. But then also like he can just easily shape the room by like, all right, I want my like couch here for company, or I'm just gonna tuck it into the wall, and then I can just have this open space, which is like so key.
For sure.
The
way that the fucking got like a glass ceiling type situation, so he has just natural lighting is out of this world.
Crazy. Crazy. And like directly in front of his bed, so you just like see stars and shit like when you are like trying to fall asleep.
I need that now in 2019.
Yeah.
Word. That's early days of just tinkering with kind of like aesthetics.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like it got to a point where I couldn't find the posters that I wanted. And so I would find just like different like movie stills and find a website and like send them the JPEG and just make a poster.
Fire. I had posters I don't know. A lot of people making art. I don't know a lot of people making posters, so that's cool.
Posters are fire, and they have like such like a juvenile and like sort of just adolescent sort of like perspective. But I stayed in an Airbnb like not too long ago that like just randomly had several posters that were like in these glass frames.
Really, and it was really nicely framed.
So fire. Like one was like of like one of like my favorite bands that like it's just like, I mean, I guess to a degree it's underground. Like there's not like a whole lot of people I know that fuck with them, but just had like a poster of, it was like a promotional poster of like when they dropped one of their albums, and it was just like one of like, I'll show you the picture of it, but it was just crazy, and it just changed my approach from like, damn, I used to always fuck with posters, but just never thought they could like exist in my adult life. Yeah. And now I kind of...
And in like an elevated way.
Yeah. Yeah. And like a very like classy way or whatever type of way, like just to incorporate them in, you know, curating your space. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, like that was pretty much like kind of like where it started, just like...
This is Windsor, Connecticut we talking?
Yeah, like this, like the house pretty much I grew up in.
Yep.
And then like, yeah, and then even more so like in college when you would just have like a little bit more liberty to like what you can do, and like now you're actually like maybe investing into like furniture pieces, like, you know, and at this time like that means like going to like Salvation Army and like just finding like, you know, a coffee table or like just like a little like love seat or some shit just to like kind of like make your room like cozy or like a place to chill.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, bro, I mean, like that's kind of like where it all started. I would say just like finding a creative outlook. But yeah,
creating a little point of view of your own.
Yeah. Were you like into like designing your room and like kind of like decking it out, or were you? Because I have a lot of friends who like might throw up like a poster here and there, but some of them were just too lazy to even like care enough to like change anything.
That's a good question. I'm trying to jog my memory here.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I was fucking oldest of 6 siblings. I didn't always have a room of my own. And not to say that I never did, but kind of when I was a little younger, I had them. But as I grew up into like the poster stage of life, kind of like whether I'm in the basement kind of kicking it with my own space and I find ways to make it cool or whatever, I might set up my little trophies or arrange my shoes in an interesting way. But never like had a big old spacious bedroom where I felt like I was kind of fully in control of the design or the aesthetics of the space.
Yeah.
Or at least not in a way that I could be like especially excited about, you know what I mean, and like feel stoked to like tinker around with. So I would have little things in there, but that was never a big thing.
But you also like, you were telling me you moved around a lot too.
Moved around a bunch, so it's not like I had something I was adding on top of and refining or whatever. I'm kind of just like getting to a new space, and I'm, you know, I had space. I had spots in apartments and houses and things where I was there for years, and you know what I mean, or whatever. So I had a little bit of it, but just not like a full childhood's worth of things that I kind of like changed and reshaped or whatever. But along the way, of course, you have a poster here and a poster there, but it was never like a point of emphasis for me as a kid.
For sure.
My big thing was always sneakers. Getting new sneakers, maybe from like early high school times when I finally started getting a couple of dollars of my own to like actually spend or fucking waste or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Whether it's like getting different cool sneakers or having basketball sneakers and fucking drawing on them, or I don't even know, finding younger siblings to give them away to. That was kind of like my artistic approach, canvas type of situation.
Yeah, you were fucking with SBs?
Great question. I'm really happy you asked that question, because everybody who knows me, especially everybody who knows me and who listens to this podcast, knows that I love sneakers. I love footwear. I've never had a pair of SBs in my entire life.
Wow.
That's a fun fact.
Yeah.
I don't know how fun that fact is, but it is a fact.
Yeah.
I
would say if you identify with the sneakerhead culture.
I don't.
Oh, okay. All right.
I identify with sneaker appreciator and lover culture, but I'm not. Compared to sneakerheads out here doing it right now, I am not that.
Yeah, but the sneakerhead game is way different from like what it was. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
facts.
Everything is different.
No, facts.
Well, you know, just
the old version I do identify with.
Yeah,
I suppose. I'll put the old version in quotes or whatever.
For sure. I mean, I like at the end of the day too. Like, I feel like I'm in that same bracket as you. It's just in terms of like a sneaker appreciator, because I wasn't like I know people who. You know, I got a friend, somebody who I work with actually, who has like over like 250 pairs. Like not like strictly SBs, but like just kicks, like just rare collabs, just out of this world.
I think about that because I know I have fucking people hella close to me, friends, family, loved ones, college homies, roommates, whatever, who have had super fucking deep collections like that. But like kind of back in the day, college times type shit. And I think about that like relative to my tiny ass New York City apartment. And I'm just like, what does that even look like? Like, how much space does 250 pairs of sneakers take up? Like,
that's what I'm saying, bro.
What the fuck is going on when you have that many shoes?
I mean, this dude was telling me...
You can't wear 250 shoes.
There's no way. Yeah. Like, this dude was telling me that, like, he was keeping a ton in his parents' basement, and, like, some definitely got, like, kind of, like, mildewy after a while.
Rotted.
Yeah, like, just... You know, just negligence.
Because you have to work to fucking maintain them at that point.
Right.
It's like a fucking garden.
You ever, well, like, okay, so, like, what sneakers were you collecting then?
Real quick, before we fucking get too far away off on our tangents. I do appreciate, like I said, I'm an appreciator, I'm a lover. I do appreciate the shit out of SBs. Shout out to all the SB heads. One of my holy grails in this life are the skunks, and I have to shout out to the homie PZ for that, because he had a pair and he showed me the fucking stash pocket inside the tongue, and I was like, yo, that's crazy.
Rare.
That's very, and that was like one of the first things where they kind of opened my eyes to fucking design. Like, this is a super interesting element.
The textures too. I mean,
the texture is a whole different.
It was definitely one of the first that I remember at that time that it was like just the concept was so funky,
crazy,
where
weird in the best way.
Yeah, it's like if you wore it, it was more of a statement rather than like, oh, this is just like a cool, interesting colorway. It was just like, nigga, we know what you got on your feet. Like this is deliberate. Like this is like super intentional. Yeah. You know what I mean?
You did some homework to get those.
One of my favorite joints is I believe it's Stussy SB collab, where like they reference like the like Napoleon ice cream colorways, so like the like
pink
chocolate
and white and brown type shit.
Yeah, like and like the tongue has a cherry to like reference like the cherry on top of like a sundae or some shit. But that's I have that saved off on Road, where it's like once the bag is right, I'm like that's just like a trigger.
I need that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those on the tablet, people. Like I said earlier, man, my fucking vice. I look at it as a vice at this point in my life, because all the dollars that I've given to them, I could have been fucking doing other things. But I did awesome things, and I have no regrets, because this is how it's supposed to fucking go. But my whole thing has always been Nike.
Nike boys.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's my doing, or if that's of my family's doing, or just because of the things I've been immersed in. You know, whether it's family or friends or fucking TV. Nike has been the one.
Yeah, I have a fun Nike story to tell you about, but continue.
That's it, man. Nike's just been always my go-to, and of course, as I did my homework about Nike, it became Jordan. And as I did my homework about Jordan, it became numbered Jordans. And as I did my homework about numbered Jordans, it became 1 through 5 type shit.
Yeah.
And then it became 1, 3, or 5. Otherwise, I can't be bothered.
Number 6, though?
Numbers, how I'm talking to you about, I love Jordans. I've never had a pair of 6s in my life. And I fuck with that shoe. As an older fucking old geezer now in my experience here, I do appreciate the 6s, but I've never somehow come into possession of them.
Yeah, I had the I'm trying to think, bro. Like this is fucking me up, because in my head it feels like the Olympic joints, but I'm trying to think about like what number at this point was he like on the dream team, because it's
around there.
But it was the 7s that
the 7s are the Olympics.
Those are the Olympics, right? Yeah. So I had like whatever name they gave to the navy and white colorway that were the 6s.
The 6s, yeah. Yep.
Like some, yeah.
It probably is Olympic 6s or some shit like that.
Something like that, but yeah.
Word. Yeah, Nike shoes was my thing, man. I've always appreciated them.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, I've wasted a lot of money on it, like I said. I'd rather spend that money getting started on something that I can kind of manipulate more.
Yeah, I don't know. But like sometimes at the end of the day, like I feel like I've definitely come to terms with myself about being a consumer. And it's like something where I don't like say it proudly, wear it on my chest type shit, but it's like, it's just a fact, you know, like as an American, like it's just been instilled in me to like have a certain appreciation about products and identifying with certain material possessions. And I feel like, you know, if you have that dialogue and there's just like a mutual understanding about that, I think you can probably navigate through your life a little bit better about, you know, decision making and the type of purchases you pursue. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like, I know I like things, and there's just like a certain taste that I have, and it brings me joy. So like,
and that joy is tangible.
Yeah. But I also know it can like very easily be like ripped from my arms. So it's like, you know, how high is like that pedestal that you like hold it to? It's like, at the end of the day, yeah, it's tangible. Like that's like what it is. So, you know, it can only really affect me to like an extent, but I at least know that it has that effect, and like I'm okay with it essentially.
Definitely.
Yeah, but Nike specifically. So Forces
was my shit.
Yeah. Or for, you know, the I don't know. It's not it's a East Coast thing, I imagine, but Uptown, obviously. So like just that period of back to school shopping, and just regardless, I tossed them in the fridge. You know, regardless of like what condition you kept yours in, you are likely to get a new pair every school year. And then it's just so vivid to me about when exactly that started.
Do you need one?
I'm good right now.
It's vivid.
Yeah.
I have 0% idea when that started, so it's good that it's vivid for you.
I mean, I at least remember when it started for me. Like, I know enough to say that it was just like a culture, if you will, or like almost like a rite of passage that, you know, began long before my time of like just understanding just like style or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I remember it was second grade, and
early.
I went to school, first day of school, and like I definitely think at that time, like whatever I was assigned to wear, there was a lot of intention behind it.
And by second grade?
Yeah.
That's mad early. How old are you in second grade?
Like, in second grade, you're
6 or 7 years old?
I think 7.
Some shit?
Yeah, 7 years old.
Real young.
Yeah.
That's weird. It seems extremely young to me, to be like thinking about putting things together.
I mean, I definitely just remember certain things, possessions that just really resonate with me, and like things that like I got mad that I grew out of. Like a pair of like, I remember having a pair of just these Chucks that had these dinosaur like illustrations on them, and were just like in different colors. And I just remember like loving those, and then one day my grandmother finding out that I'm like wedging my feet in them to like keep wearing them, and then eventually them they disappear one day, and I'm like fuck, I'm not gonna find like another pair of like a better pair of sneakers after this. But just like little shit like that, I remember just having like certain things that for whatever reason just like resonated. But
that's funny. Now that you're talking about that, I do remember in 8th grade, I bought a pair of Uptowns mids, white with the gray check, which is interesting. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of two-tone shit going on back in those days.
I do remember those actually.
And I'm also bought. I don't know how I had money. I can't even tell you, but I just had some money, and like my mom didn't give me money for shit like this, so I have no idea how I had this money. But I had some money, and I bought all this shit. And I also bought a pair of gray. Everything was very matchy in these days. Do you remember this?
For sure.
Do you remember the double short sleeve white tees? You have like a colored tee underneath and a white tee on top type shit?
Yeah, definitely. Like just the two-tone t-shirts. I would swap out my laces to like match the like the top. Yeah.
This is these times.
For sure.
A pair of gray fatigue pants. You remember the fatigue pants?
Yo, fatigue. Yo, I mean, like we like now. Yeah, we're definitely growing what just the scene was at this time. But yeah, no, keep going.
And the fucking forces.
Source in New York.
Type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Source in New York.
Like
did you go to that store?
I've
in
been.
Wilson?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think I got those there, but I definitely been
sure.
to Source in New York. That was a weird store.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's still there. Do you know?
No, it's not.
It's not?
There. It's not there.
Shout out to everybody who remembers Source of New York. Very rare memory. I wear size 31 pants now. Maybe 32, 31. 31, 32. 31 inch waist.
Yeah.
32 inch inseam. Those fatigue pants were probably like 34, 36.
Facts.
And the uptowns were size 12, definitely. And right now, as a grown ass man who pays a whole bunch of bills and shit, I fucking wear size 11 and a half.
Yeah. I mean, same here, bro. Like that's just what it was. I don't know why, but like that's
why. Why are you buying this shit?
I don't know.
What is the reason?
11,
I need to understand.
11, and I wore 12s for I don't know how long in my life.
Why did I buy those shoes? I chose that.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny. That was a tangent. Sorry, y'all. Much needed little trip down memory lane.
Yeah. No, but peep. So like, second grade, showing up to school, seeing everybody with forces.
Everybody. Almost as many as wear them now.
And I'm like, fuck, bro. Like, did I not get the memo? I can't remember like what I was wearing at that time either. It wasn't that important to me, I guess. Like, it was a pair of shoes that I just got, but like just didn't really resonate for whatever reason.
Right.
But I was just like, fuck, like what's going on? Like, damn, like nobody could have told me, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had like friends and shit, like they have forces. I'm like, fuck, like, and so then I come home, and you know, like anybody else, like school is just weird and awkward, so you just constantly like suffer through like self-reflection
the whole time.
And I'm like just walking into my house, like probably like just a little down, and then I like look over on the couch and there's just a box of forces.
Wow, somebody hit the step back 3.
Crazy. My mom.
It's 3 at the buzzer.
Yeah.
At the buzzer.
Yeah.
Shout out to mom.
The real MVP.
the realest MVP.
But yeah. Black mids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was just like, yeah.
Shout out to black mids, because black mids get a lot more shade than they deserve.
They get so much shade these days.
Black forces in general.
Black forces,
get mad shade. I don't appreciate it. I mean, if y'all, I understand white forces. It's the thing. They're special. Don't hate on black forces.
They're just starting to get oversaturated, dude. There's just there's a lot of different shades out there. I've been searching for anybody listening. I've been searching for the black forces with the white soul that dropped, I think maybe like 2 years ago now or something like that. Size 11. I'll do size 11 and a half too. But like, if you can figure that out, like, link me, please.
All right.
But yeah. But no, you mentioned something else. You mentioned fatigues, right? So yeah, I mean,
you remember those?
Bro,
you have
it was just like
experiences with the fatigues.
Yo, when you like the jacket, bro.
I have one in my closet now.
I wish I still kept mine. What color?
It's not from back then, but it's just the Alpha Industries jacket. A gray one. The gray
one. Yeah, the gray is kind of. That's kind of deep, because you always saw the tan or the black, but when you saw the gray...
The gray one is
yeah,
nice.
I had the tan.
Never had the tan. I've had gray and green, some weird colors.
I felt like a fucking spy and like some like Expected Gadget shit. I'm about to, I'm gonna design a fatigue coat in the very near future.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
So, you remind me, for the people, what's Demuerte? I asked that open-endedly, very intentionally.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it lately, and like the original concept is, I think it still very much exists like within the brand's DNA, but like when I hear people say it and I read it and like just see it like on our tags or whatever, it just kind of exists in its own world now. It's literally like a new word to me. So like when I like introduce people to it and like talk to people about it for the first time, and then we have like, it's just like, oh, like that's Spanish, like it means of death.
Of death?
Of death, yeah. It's just like, yeah, like it reminds me of hearing like a word from another language for the first time and somebody like telling you like what it means, but then like you kind of looking at the word and like just thinking like, oh, or like even like reading a word and like knowing about a word but never knew what it meant, and like you look it up and it's like, oh, like that's what that means. But like I don't know, like just the of death translation doesn't compute to where I feel like the word has grown, at least for me, on like a spiritual and just like a fundamental level to like what I do, you know, because I interact with it so much, but it's just the meaning has just kind of grown its own legs, so to speak.
For sure.
Yeah. But that's like where it originated from. Like just the idea of how Latin American, Mesoamerican cultures identified with death. So like probably like the you know, like everybody has heard of like Day of the Dead, like the Mexican holiday.
Yep.
And
I was just talking to my brother about the movie Coco.
Yeah.
You seen that? It's a Disney movie.
I've been meaning to see it for a grip now.
It's about a lot of that.
Right. Yeah.
Cultural.
Yeah.
Things.
But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's a celebration. It's
exactly. It's all about the celebration.
Exactly. And we have that a lot in Black culture, you know, like, you know, you see, you know, whenever you go to a funeral now, it's like, it's celebration of life, you know. It's no longer like, it's not really, I mean, a lot of people don't even like really use the word funeral anymore.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, just like this conversation about mortality, a lot of like, what are we doing here? I feel like we talked about this earlier, where I was like, you know, like we were literally brought here against our will, and
just dropped to you.
You know, it's just like, what do you decide to do? And I think at that time, I was just like sort of having those conversations with myself, and for those listening, like that time was like 2014. Jobless and like recent college grad, and just like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, like that word just applied. It felt, to be complete transparent, it felt punk to me. It felt confusing, you know, like I just knew so many people would just like ask me like why, you know, why choose something negative? And I've always kind of had this idea of like, you know, just experimenting with concepts and ideas that have a negative connotation, but how can that be applied differently and sort of like shape perception? I mean, you kind of deal with that a lot. I mean, I feel like just as a black male, I very easily can be in a setting where my existence has a negative connotation.
Off the strength. That's true.
So yeah, I mean that's kind of conceptually like where the name and sort of the concept originated.
Right. How does that take form in the shape of a business? What is it as a business?
You mean in terms of like the name, or like just what we are structurally as a business?
Structurally, tell us about the business and the brand. When did it started? When you start? When did you package it as Demuerte?
Oh, like starting off. Yep. All right, but so
2014, you said?
Yeah. So my boy Kevin, I met in college. I went to Eastern and Willimantic, for those who are familiar.
Wait, real quick, let's interject just
Yeah.
I've never discussed this here with the people yet so far. How's Willimantic? I haven't spent much time there, but how's your experience with Willimantic?
If you're from just like Hartford County, Willimantic will feel a lot like the South End.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's definitely Latino influence. You have like
European.
the local shops and the the restaurants, and I can go and get like a stewed chicken and like rice and beans or something, or like an empanada or like something like, what I mean? Like it definitely had just like a Latin community for sure.
Right.
It has sort of the same like neighborhood and community structure that I feel like exists in everywhere in Connecticut, but like in a very like micro perspective. So like a lot of the apartments I was living in was kind of right on like this hill where like the like pretty much Willimantic is like pretty much a university town.
Is it of Eastern? Pretty much.
I mean, it's just a lot of people profit off of the students that live there in terms of the restaurants, in terms of the real estate and like apartment rentals and everything. So like,
do they have on-campus housing, or is
it? There's on-campus housing. Yeah. There's dorms and shit. But like, it was a dry campus, so everybody tried to move off campus as soon as they could, so they can just do what they want and like party and
apartments and shit.
Yeah, but like right next, like in the proximity of the campus, very similar to like how at UConn stores, and you have like pretty much the campus like body, but then you have outskirts, but like it's still pretty much all like the school.
Yeah.
It's similar to that. I mean, like,
facts.
I'm not trying to say Willimantic is just Eastern, but pretty much when school is not in session, it's like pretty much a ghost town. There's not like much action.
Right.
But which was cool because I pretty much stayed at my apartment like all the downtime. But yeah, like one of my homies who I went to school with, he pretty much approached me, like this is after college. We had like graduated at this point, but still living like near each other.
Yeah.
But like he had an apartment in Manchester. I was living my grandfather's in Windsor, and he just like wanted to be an entrepreneur. But this is actually like one of the first times where it's just all the dots are aligning, like things are connecting. I mean, there's still like a ton of shit I need to work on. Like I took work off Friday to go back to set up the install that I'm working on with my girlfriend, and Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. I mean, like, the collection, I guess, like, theme and, like, name kind of came by accident. I had, like, a few names that I was thinking about. And I've also kind of just been interested in this idea of, like, really only attempting to do one collection a year. And just kind of choose a season that I think just applies to whatever I wanted to make in that time.
It's been different every year.
What was that?
The seasons have been different every year?
I mean, not really. Like, they usually land in the fall.
Okay.
And I think that season definitely applies to me. There's definitely been times where we've dropped, like, multiple pieces within a year span. So if you go to our website, you'll see things from, like, the spring. And actually, like, the next collection I've been thinking about, I think I'm trying to pull off kind of like that, like, sort of early summertime. But yeah, but like yeah, like, I like the idea of doing one collection a year. And then yeah, so, like, I was thinking about the name. Like, for a while I was just thinking, like, it's just gonna be like fall 2019. But then I was having a conversation with a friend, my friend who styled the shoot, like, our most recent lookbook. And one of the names that stuck out was Homesick. And it applies to her because she's originally from LA, but has been in New York for a couple of years. And I think I was kind of, like, that word resonated with me because, you know, it can kind of sound like a little strange. I mean, I think I just like words that you can't exactly, like, identify with, like, what it stems from. So, like, you know, you could be homesick for, like, a number of reasons. But I also just liked the idea that it can have a double entendre, where it's just, like, literally being, like, ill from a domesticated life. And yeah, I mean,
True.
It's definitely the largest range of designs we have, you know, put together for a single collection. But yeah, I mean,
This past one or this next one?
like this one, like this one, in terms of, like, the range of
That's
what,
up right now.
yeah. I mean, like, nothing's available for purchase yet, but it's like what will be available this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
But yeah, I
got
mean,
some photographers coming through, at least.
Yeah.
At least the homie.
yeah, for sure. My boy Adrian, my boy Ike, who is he's actually, like, he was present for the lookbook shoot and done some video work, and we're working on the treatment for that, so really excited to share that.
That's dope.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, for the pop-up, I mean, we're celebrating 5 years. Our very first pop-up took place somewhat close to where this year's location is, just like downtown Hartford. The first one was at this spot called EBK Gallery, like one of, like, the few art galleries that existed in Hartford. It's no longer there. And it was actually a bummer because we tried to reach out to them to do it again there, but or I mean, not EBK because he's no longer there, but the representative of the building, and they hit us back on some the tenants and the building owner did not see the value in what we wanted to do there. and it's just kind of like a super frustrating thing, because you know, I feel like a lot of my intentions are based with the I guess preservation of style and art and culture, if you will, that exists in Hartford. And to me, I've been kind of like using the tagline for real estate owners who are just hoarding property, because there's just so much untapped property that exists in Hartford that is rotting.
A lot of it, tons of abandoned fucking buildings.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. Like, you know, like Bridgeport kind of has its issues with infrastructure, but I mean, but with Hartford, it's like there's people that own buildings that are like renovated, that function, who just won't have a conversation with you about doing something as simple as a pop-up, where you literally are only adding value to the space because people actually can exist in it, and it functions, and it's just now on display.
Right.
But yeah, we were lucky enough to my friend Jeff connected us with this the new soccer club that's in Hartford Athletic Club.
Is it like semi-pro or something like that?
Yeah. But they
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, I think they've been around for a year so far.
Since the Yard Goat's been there?
Yeah, like shortly after the Yard Goats, I believe.
Okay.
But yeah, really, really nice folks. But they have a space there, so shout out to them for letting us hold down their storefront on Pratt Street.
That's dope.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just really looking forward to when this weekend is over. It's gonna be awesome. Like, it's gonna be like, it's essentially gonna be a party. It's gonna be like a lot of people that has been with us from when we started, people that were at the first pop-up and see the progression.
When was the first pop-up?
First pop-up was September 27th, 2014.
14?
Yeah, 2014.
5 years ago,
yeah. So we're doing it on the 28th. The 28th and the 29th. It's gonna be for 2 days, but yeah.
Right on.
But yeah, bro.
What are you most excited for?
I mean, honestly, just like seeing my people. You know, like I've
come together.
I've been living in New York for I'm on my 3rd year.
Yeah.
And I was asked by my homie Jeff to help put together just sort of like a press release to just try to just get more traffic.
Yep.
And I mean, he pretty much had it all just ready for me, but I just changed one section of I just wanted to add a quote in there, or just some actual thought for myself.
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking, I just been having this thought that this collection feels like a love letter to Hartford, or to Connecticut just as a whole.
Fine.
Because just even how the word homesick is so applicable to me, I still travel back to Hartford to sew and make all of the pieces that we sell, and it's really out of necessity for space. And
what do you mean when you say out of necessity for space, for anybody out there who may not be from New York City?
Space is really expensive in New York.
If we had to break down the square footage of like where we are, I mean, I'm not even gonna go into that, but just into like the square footage to price ratio is just crazy. And I'm currently paying a very low rate, I would say. Like I'll be transparent with y'all, but I won't. You know, I'm not gonna get into like the nitty gritty.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I pay a very low rate. I have some friends who are like looking out for me, but
That's awesome.
currently my studio is in a homie's, like one of my best friends, like just in his living room where like they just didn't use at all anyway.
Super dope.
But I'm actually gonna move to where my one of my original spaces was in Hartford at the old Bartholomew Park Street building. So yeah, plan to do that after the pop-up. But
Right on.
but yeah, so like I need to travel back to Hartford in order to like really make anything. And I'm like slowly working on, and I have a little situation now to like have the shit situated out here, or at least part of it. Like I can have like, cause the shit that I do, I have like big ass machines. Like I have like 2 industrial machines that I actually use, but like 3 machines total. And then like for anybody that doesn't really understand the cut and sew process, it is much easier to have a big ass table to work with because you're working with fabrics that are usually 50 inches in width. And it's great to have a table that can fit that, you know, comfortably.
For any of my loved ones out there who may not know what you mean when you say cut and sew process, what do you mean when you say that? What does that mean exactly?
It's literally getting fabric, just materials,
Raw.
You lay it out. Currently, I have a little process set up where I bring my cutting mats. Actually, I don't need to do this now. I kind of rigged up another situation with the small table that I do have. But for a while, like rolling out the fabric, it literally comes on like a sort of like cardboard roll, similar to like how your paper towels look. So imagine that, but just like magnified. Roll it out. You add a cutting mat underneath because you don't want to fuck up your floor. And I mean, you can chalk it out and use scissors. That's the traditional way, or you can use a rotary cutter. I tend to use that now because it's just seamless, but I use scissors occasionally. I kind of go back and forth.
Rotary cutter is clutch.
Yeah.
I gotta use my rotary cutter more.
It's funny. People, I mean, like the pros and like the vets, like the tailors and shit, like laugh at you because it's just like, it's on some just like, that's like training wheels type shit.
The rotary cutter?
Yeah.
They only use scissors?
They don't use scissors. They're chalk and scissors. I know nobody uses rotary cutters. But
I don't use the rotary cutter, but I have one and it does help.
If you work in a manufacturer, like if you order from a manufacturer, or work within one or seeing one, you would often notice that the cutting process is one of the most intricate, and they actually have these big ass kind of essentially just saws, where all the pieces are cut out and the fabric is stacked on top of each other, and they just take these like big ass saws that have like these guides, and somebody is like literally just like going around the different cuts and cutting multiple pieces of fabric, so then that way you kind of just like cut your time down. I'm in a situation now where I still make relatively small quantities, so I don't necessarily need to be cutting like a boatload of fabric at a single time.
Yeah.
But something like those tools would definitely be, it's just a fabric cutter, but that would be really helpful for me if I wanted to, like, you know, cut out like 10 hoodies or 10 t-shirts at a time
Is that
and just
about
plow all through them.
Is that about how many batches you'll do for a typical batch?
Likely
10 or so.
I feel like when I usually start off, when I'm like first developing a concept, I try to like at least make the full size range, which
the size run.
Yeah, which was 4 for our tops, but we've like now downsized to 3, at least for like this series of pieces, and they all kind of have like a more oversized feel. So, I mean, for people out there who are like, you see like a large on my shit, like just know that like nigga, that means extra large, if not double XL.
It's cozy.
Yeah, it's cozy. Like every all the pieces pretty much have like a cozy feel. So definitely
cozy is good.
Kind of like an oversized approach.
Yeah.
But then in terms of like the process, yeah, like cutting out the fabric, you have all these pieces, and then now you like just need to like literally be at a machine and like sew them together. And that doesn't mean just sitting at a machine and like just running the fabric underneath. All fabric has different just ways that they function and move, and fabric can easily be manipulated as you're sewing it. So there's techniques that apply to each fabric type.
What's the hardest fabric that you worked with that like sewing? It's like giving you the most fucking challenge.
I mean, right now, like the fabric that's most relevant is this corduroy that we have.
It's so funny. I'm sewing corduroy right now. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That we've been making these button-up shirts. Oh, the shirts we talk about, the Berkshire.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like my boy.
Does it have stretch in it?
There's a little stretch, not crazy. I mean,
I think that changes the way that it sews.
Yeah, it definitely does. Like, I mean, for anybody who like starts off sewing, you're probably familiar with just like using pins and having like those align. I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a vet or anything, but like I don't often use pins because that's just more time pinning the garment.
It definitely takes other time.
Like that takes time, right? But so like, you know, typically I will pin like the bottom seam and then like just concentrate on like keeping all the fabric like at the same just line of progression. But for the corduroy, I actually realized when I started like working on some of the samples, I'm like, fuck, like I need to like pin this because it just moves crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. Even cutting it out is funky.
Yeah.
Like the pattern paper slides. For anybody, I guess, who doesn't know what pattern paper are, it's just literally the stencils of the garment.
Of the shapes.
Yeah.
Have you sewn silk before?
I haven't fucked with silk yet.
It's mad
but
slippery.
Yeah.
And, like it's hard to fucking manipulate.
I can only imagine, really.
Word. Alright. Last question for you. Go back 5 good ones, 5 years ago. You're putting out your first season, it's your first year.
Mm-hmm.
Had to slice it up.
Yeah.
Your first year, you're just getting started. What's the financial advice you'd give it to yourself in that state?
5 years ago?
Mm-hmm. When you first got started with the
financial advice.
When you first got started with these projects.
I mean, it's hold on, alright, let me think about this for a second. First financial advice.
Mm-hmm.
First financial advice, and then I feel like again this is just a concept that is very applicable to everything, but like less is more. And at first, you know, you have these ideas, you feel so ambitious, and you just kind of think these like massive like production runs is necessity, because you're also thinking like, okay, you like create more, you have more of like a there's a higher commerce rate, like you know, you make more, you'll sell more, you'll profit more. And Especially at a time where we had no idea what we were doing. That just made absolutely no sense. And people, I mean, a lot of young people that I notice now, I feel like everybody is doing it like, they're approaching it very smart and also very ecologically friendly as well, with just the one-off bespoke and like thrifting pieces. I mean, that's kind of how we first started too, was just like, you know, thrifting and like manipulating shit that we just like bought and found. Yeah. But like I see a ton of young designers who are doing just the one-off shits, and I mean, I would just say keep doing that, please, because like it definitely, you can, you know, build just a more personable perspective with your ideas. But I mean, you're also just being like a lot less wasteful, because fashion can be extremely wasteful.
One of the most wasteful things out there. So they say.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you heard that along your path as well?
I mean, absolutely. It's definitely just prevalent just now. I feel like 2019, there was definitely issues with just being eco-friendly in fashion specifically, like a year ago or even 2 years ago, just even with people like cutting out fur and like shit like that.
Okay.
But like this year specifically, I think that's just the conversation everybody's having. It's like, it's trendy now to be eco-friendly for brands, and it's one of those things where it's just like
becoming mainstream.
Yeah, and now it's used as a selling tool, and then you struggle. At least I struggle with where is the actual intention behind this like business change, like being eco-friendly.
Yep.
Yeah.
We know that the intention is a nice green dollar sign.
Yeah.
But hopefully we can make Mother Earth a little bit better off in the process.
Yeah. I mean, that's why for me, you know, and I'm still teaching myself less is more. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else with people?
I mean, I hope everybody enjoyed this dialogue.
They enjoyed.
Well, my voice.
They enjoyed. They always enjoy.
But yeah, I mean, hit me up.
Where can they find you?
You can find us.
Where's the best place? Where's the most engaging place? Where do you get the most engagement? Or just like, where's the best place?
I mean, to be honest, like face to face, if you can ever just catch me in traffic, like,
that's awesome.
I'm likely to be the most engaged at that moment in time.
That's becoming a fine art.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of becoming I guess I would say I would suggest to anybody out there, and I'm not trying to come across as like I'm like the just life of the party, but I would say definitely just like talk more to people.
For sure.
Like, just talk to somebody random. Talk to somebody who you think is uncool, maybe, or like somebody who you just know is different
and
from you.
Wouldn't necessarily engage with.
Yeah. Just broaden your perspective, really. We live definitely in a place and time where image is so important, and you can literally be whoever you want, and I encourage you to do that, because whoever you want to be is probably rightfully who you actually are, if that's what you are pursuing. Yeah, I mean, just don't lose sight of what's real. And yeah.
and what's important to you. Facts. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
For sure. People, we love you. Bless up. Peace.
Ciao.
It has mystery behind it. Number 4. You could turn the stone. You It has mystery behind it.